When Gabriel Nelson said to us earlier, "When I choose a side as with the war in the Middle East, I have excluded the other side along with their wholeness." Take a breath. Now I'm going to put his words in the first person. When I send thoughts and prayers to heal Israel without sending those same vibrational thoughts to the Palestinians, I am creating more separation and division. I am affirming division within myself. I am taking sides. Within me, I have created what is right and what is wrong. I am right, and you are wrong. I am, and you are the other. He's correct in saying the universal principle affirms our thoughts. We say our thoughts are our prayers. We say wherever we set our intention, whatever we focus our thoughts on, that is where the energy of the universe flows. It cannot help but say yes to what we're thinking. So when we align ourselves within as separation, as division, when we take sides and we create that discord within ourselves, we create that disharmony within ourselves, do you think honestly anybody in the Middle East knows our thoughts right here in this sanctuary? No. But you know your thoughts. And when you sit there muddled in a storm of chaos that's raging inside because you have friends of this faction and friends of this faction, and you're in the middle and you're tossing and you're turning, where is that peace? Where is that harmony? For you are in control of your thoughts. Myrtle Fillmore, one of our co-founders, the beautiful healer, said, discipline your thoughts. Align them on what you want to create in your life. So like some of you, maybe many of you, I have turned on the news a couple times. And yesterday what struck me profoundly was a 13-year-old girl, a beautiful 13-year-old girl. And she and her grandmother and her mother and her father had hidden for 16 hours before they made their escape. And she was being interviewed. And her grandmother was just elegant, beautiful, holding her granddaughter side by side, arm in arm. And as the interviewer was asking questions, the grandma kept reaching over and kissing her granddaughter. And she said, I could do this if we made it out alive. So I'm going to kiss her every chance I get. That is life. That is love. That doesn't matter which side you're on. My experience in a very brief visit in Egypt is they wanted to show me their family pictures. I went deep into a store and I was a little cautious. I was extremely aware that I was a female. In a country where females are not always present on the outside, but often hidden behind the scenes. And this sweet, sweet little girl, couldn't have been 8 or 9, dressed in Western wear, said, "Come here." Now, I love children, but I'm in a foreign country. Other people have been to this country. I was not sure. Come here. So I follow her, listening out for all the rest of the tour group. And as I get behind the scenes, she introduces me to her mother and her 2 aunties, and they are dressed in the more traditional robes. And the other little girl, her sister, is dressed in Western wear. And we are yearning from a soul place to communicate. But I don't speak their language, and even the little girls didn't speak mine. So I opened up a cereal bar, and I peeled back the wrapper. And I held it out to the little girl, and she backed up. So I broke a piece off, and I ate it. And then her mom took some of it. And then the little girls took some of it. We want the same things. We want a safe place to be family. We want to be able to worship and have our spiritual experiences without being condemned. I know that I am an other to somebody, just like you are an other to somebody. On our tour bus, there was a man with a gun. The Egyptian government promised the American government, after a number of tourists at a specific site from Germany were gunned down, that they would do their utmost best to protect American tourists. If you don't know, tourism is the #1 industry in Egypt. So I looked at our guide, and he was fabulous. And I said, so if somebody really hated me and they don't even know me, a sniper on a roof, how can you guarantee my safety? And he said, I can't. So we go into that heart space and say, I want to have this incredible, magical experience. Cynthia, I bet you did too. The people were so generous and so giving and so filled with life, no different than what we want to have and create here. It just somewhat looks different. I'm not used to going into a major city with every 10 feet a man in a white suit uniform and a gun. That's very different for me. But there's other countries that live like this. So how do we bring ourselves in that one energy, one mind, one consciousness, and let go of other? When we see things playing out in our world, I don't know how Ukraine and Russia is going to solve its problems. I know I'm not helping if I take sides in my own mentality. And I don't agree with what's going on over there, and they haven't asked me. I don't know why. Israel, right now, with Hamas coming in there, and I hear it's right now on the borders of Lebanon. My daughter has been to Lebanon. She said, Mom, this is one of the most beautiful countries. This is the sacred countries. This is where, when we read our Bible and we read our stories about Mesopotamia and all these ancient places and their sites, this is where it was. Not New York City, not Atlanta, Georgia, not Palm Harbor, Florida. This is where it started. The Abrahamic religions, the Babylonians, the Mesopotamians. We can't replace what's in there. I have a friend in Libya. He said, you would love Libya, but you can't come here. Wow. Tell an American they can't go somewhere. How do we honor other faiths, other traditions? How do we come together as one and be respectful when you enter their temples and they ask the women most often if you will wear skirts in Greece to some of those high temples and to the Duomo, cover your shoulders and be respectful? Why would you do anything else? It's not your temple. You are a guest in their country. So how can we treat people today in such a way that they're always our guest in our heart space? What would that look like if you began to be kinder to people? If you recognized that they may not be seeing you, even in your heart space, as you are seeing them. I don't like the word try, like try to see them, because that leaves doubt. We are not doubters. We set intention. We are powerful creators. And we hold what our creation to be from that divine guidance that comes within each one of us. And we are that expression of that guidance. We emulate, we strive. We call Jesus our way shower. Do you know that Jesus, in the physical form of Nazarene, was a first century Jewish Palestinian? Take that in. Right where all this fighting's going, he was birthed. Wow, what a consciousness. What a consciousness to come into the world and say, all those old rules that you guys play by, those sacrifices and all those things you're doing, that's not the message of God. Y'all need to get back from all this politics and get right back into that message of loving one another. The very first commandment, thou shalt love thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul. And the second one is, If you're going to love thy neighbor as thyself, that means you have the capacity to expand your ideal of what your self is. I liken this to being a first-time mom. Any of you out there who've had children, whether they're your own or one that you've loved, and then comes that second pregnancy. Now, I don't know how y'all were out there hearing the new nephew was going to arrive or the new niece or your friend's best friend, whatever's going on. But I had that conversation with God, that real serious one. I said, I love this angel that you brought into me that came through me, as me, of me. Khalil Gibran says, get over yourself. You were only a channel for this light. But that second baby was coming fully pregnant, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I can love this one near as much as I love the first one. It's amazing what your capacity is to love. That second one come flying into this earth. I hadn't even signed my name in the bed, and he made his entrance. Do you think I loved him any less than that firstborn? No. And he was all boy. So this past weekend, he surprised me, if you guys are following me on Facebook at all. Monday night, he says, I'm coming to Tampa to do a work project. I thought I'd drop by for a couple days. I'm like, yes! Because my daughter and my son don't get along. Do you have that in your family? Well, she was on her way to Ecuador, but that wasn't until Thursday morning, and he was coming in Wednesday. So I'm in this place of two different thoughts. Please get along, please get along. So we go out to dinner. The last time all three of us went out to dinner was a number of years ago on my birthday, and the siblings went in the car. And we pulled up in front of one of those like Benihana places, and we get out of the car, and they're just I got back in the car. They looked at me, and they're like, what are you doing? It's your birthday. I said, well, it's not very much fun with you two. I took them home. They got out of the car. I went and had a birthday dinner. This is hard stuff. So you get to choose where you're going to show up in life. So I will tell you, we went to Safety Harbor to one of my favorite little restaurants, the Barfly. We sat outside and sweated and dripped and had a marvelous meal. And even better because they didn't argue. And we didn't talk about the Middle East at all. I am wearing one of the robes that Jessica brought back from Saudi Arabia so that we can honor all cultures, all people, recognizing that not one of us is more superior to the other. Not one of us is less. Not one of us is inferior to the other. We are all made in the image and likeness of God. So if we're all part of that same magical, wonderful, creative spirit, we're just different expressions of that same magical, wonderful, creative spirit. There's a story that's been told through the years. This beautiful little soul is really struggling. It's on planet Earth, and it's watching all this war and hatred and anger. And this little soul looks up to God and says, I don't understand. You are magnificent. You are all-knowing, all-powerful, all creative. And your children are down here killing each other. And they're angry and they're mean. What are you going to do about it? And God said, I sent you. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do to make the changes? We have been gifted with Mother Earth and everything we need. And we are destroying her. And she's fighting back. You notice the earthquakes? You notice the fires? She's saying, all right, children, I've been telling you for a long time. Pay attention. Some people call it karma. Some people call it just being wasteful. We have opportunities in our life every single day to hold the highest good for each other. How would that feel if we truly could see with the eyes of God? Would that be a loving presence, even to your enemies? And that means the person who's not going to vote like you. and the person who's not going to let you read books that you want to read. It's the person who says, you women don't get to say what you do with your bodies. And we have to come to a place in our lives that we are centered. That we can see beneath all that we still come from that same place. That we come from that place that we can create connection or discord. We have free will at all times. So how would it be, as you walk out these doors today, that maybe someone you don't know or someone you don't know very well, you spoke to, maybe even in this congregation? I just want to introduce myself. I just want to say hi. I see you with the eyes of God. The little steps start, and then the bigger ones come. The gifts we receive, they grow because our attention is going what we want to create instead of what we don't want to create. So when Judith was up here and talking about our little exercise that came from her fall group, we're actually not doing it after service next week. Get ready to get uncomfortable. We're doing it during service next week. So for those of you who go, oh, I don't know, I think I just want to watch, that's okay. I think we have 200 chairs, you can watch. But if I come tap you on the shoulder, it's like playing those little games, duck, 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 goose, you're it. So we're going to actually set some of those up in the back near the end of the service and get to know one another. Like really start getting to know one another. That's why we gather in small groups. So I invite you to just think about things a little bit differently. Just keep your mind curious, a little open. You may be introduced to a concept, a thought. You may see someone that immediately you make a judgment, because come on, y'all. The first time you saw me, dark hair, tall, white woman. That's it. Don't say you didn't see me, because I'm pretty big. So somebody else that you see that you just don't really know, introduce yourself. Be that kind, loving presence and celebrate life. Amen.